Hey guys, welcome to chapter 5, Overcoming Excuses and Finding Your Niche. I actually asked to speak on this chapter today because I feel like in my business journey, as I first started, I was the queen of excuses. If there's an excuse out there you can think of, I probably had it. And let me tell you, if I would have let any of those excuses linger in my heart much longer, they would have choked the life out of my business. They threatened to choke the life out of my business. They threatened my attitude to say, you know what, I think I'm done. I'm not sure if I can keep doing this, if it's worth doing this. So I really feel like I can speak to this topic today and tell you that there are no excuses that you can't overcome. When I first picked up Sarah's game plan book and got to this chapter, it was one of those that just punched me in the gut and gave me a good wake-up call. There are women and men out there who are doing this business with much tougher situations than me. Not that we're here to compare, but it helped me to see that other people were making this work. Other people were experiencing some of the same things I was experiencing, had the same hurdles, and it just boiled down to was their why important enough? When we talked on day one about the reasons for doing this business, it boiled down to, were those reasons big enough to overcome the obstacles that stand in our way, to overcome the excuses that crept into our heart and threaten to ruin our business. So today I want to share with you guys a few excuses that really were personal for me and things that I tried to do to overcome those. So we're going to share about those first, and then we'll talk a little bit about finding your own niche. So my first excuse, I got serious about my business while we were living in Germany. We were there with the Army at a small military base, and there were just a lot of restrictions right off the bat. We just experienced hurdle after hurdle. Young Living was really new to being in the APO market. If you're military, you kind of know what that means. Lots of my friends on here struggled with me through that. But we were in the very baby phase of getting kits and oils to all those people in this restricted market. And it was hard. I made so many phone calls, and it just felt like every time we turned a corner, there was a new restriction that made it that much harder to get oils in the hands of the people that I knew needed them. There were several moments where I thought, this isn't worth it. What if we just wait till we get back to the States? Let me tell you guys, I'm so glad that I said, no, I'm going to do this. I love this. This is worth it. We can make this work. Because my business grew so much while we were in Germany. It grew. Gosh, I think it probably grew to like 320 members while we were in Germany. And I reached silver while we were in Germany, which was really exciting. And one of the things I did was I vowed to have a positive attitude. So even though there were like some turmoil happening in my heart when a lot of these things were happening, when I reached out to my members, I tried to really portray a positive attitude and say, this is happening, but look at this. This is happening, but look at this. This is happening, but this is what we can do to make this work. And I believe that the little extra effort is worth us being able to get these products into our homes to bless our families. And so that positive attitude really spilled into my downline and into my members. And when I took that positive attitude, a lot of them were able to adopt that too and to get on board with helping me make it work. So that was my first big hurdle. The second one was while we were overseas, my husband was never home. Like ever. He traveled all the time. He was gone a ton. I know that many of you can speak to that, doing a lot of the parenting alone for some seasons. And I didn't have a babysitter. I had a young child. It was hard to find time to do classes. There were lots of other moms in my situation that their husbands were gone. There were lots of children. And so I just decided, okay, kiddos in my house is not going to be my excuse. My husband never being home is not going to be my excuse. So I remember one class that I had, I think I had 20 women come. It was an after the kit class, and we all brought our children, and my baby was teething, and I taught this class with my teething baby on my back and the 20 people in my home. My sweet friend Becca was there too, and she helped me with my daughter because we all know it takes a village. But we made it work, and that was one of the most fun classes that we've ever had. It was a huge turnout. People loved it, and it was a great way to build community. It was scary thinking about having all those people in my home, thinking about what if something goes wrong and my daughter really needs me. I had plenty of people there to help. Like, y'all, it was fine. But it was overcoming that mental hurdle of saying, what if everything's not perfect? The reality is, I've never had a class where everything was perfect, but in almost all my classes, people have given me so much grace and they didn't care if it was perfect. So don't let that be your excuse either. If you are doing this alone with minimal time with children, take your kids with you. If that doesn't work, maybe you can find someone to watch your children once or twice a month. There are avenues out there. I liked Sarah's quote when she said, when you want something, you find a way around the mountain without complaint. You find someone who did it before you and you learn from them. If their way doesn't work for you, find another person with a way that does. You fight for it and you dig out of where you are. I love when she said, you find someone who did it before you and you learn from them. There are so many of us on here who have been doing this, so many who are willing to speak into your life, who are willing to share their experiences. Reach out to someone that you feel like maybe is in your same season or has walked through some of those same struggles, who maybe has spoken those same excuses over their heart. Reach out to them, see what they did. Try it. If it doesn't work, try something new. Then third one was we moved to a new place. So we recently did that, and we moved to a new place, and I had members who were moving to a new place before me, and I had to say, like, y'all, it's fine. We're going to make this work. And inside, I'm like, I'm moving to a new place too, and that's really scary, where you don't know anyone, and you feel like you have to start over. So during that time, I said, you know what, I'm going to reach out to those people in my warm market, my family, my friends that I know who live in other places, and I'm going to see who would maybe host an online class for me. And so I made that work while we were in our transition period, and I truly didn't know anyone here. I made that work. I reached out to people who were in other areas and saw like how I could meet those needs. I worked really hard to help some of my other members who were already established. I worked really hard to help them continue to grow and help them to rank up. So there are things that you can do in those transition periods. It might look different for a season, but if you stop growing, or if you stop working, you're going to stop growing. And let me tell you, you don't want to get off of that like wave of momentum, because it's so hard to get back on it. So those are my 3 big excuses. I had to decide that those excuses weren't bigger than my reasons for continuing my business. I love this, and I didn't want to give it up because something in my life threatened to take that away. So the next thing I wanted to share was finding your niche. This is really important because it's super easy to look at someone else and see their successes and feel like you have to do it a certain way. The great thing about this business is that you get to do it how you feel like you need to do it. You get to be creative, you get to be flexible, and you get to really play to your strengths. So I wanted to share an example. My sister has 3 children. One of them is 6 months old and still nursing. Pretty much all of the people in her life that she's reaching out to have children. So she was hosting these classes in her home, trying to teach with like a baby on her hip and her kids running around. Everybody needs a snack. And so she did that for a while, and I was super impressed. But she messaged me and she's like, Erin, I don't know, like it's so distracting. I feel like I need to do something different. She didn't say, Erin, it's so distracting, I'm not doing this anymore. She said, it's so distracting, like, let's figure out what I can do to make this work. So Sarah Harnish actually put out a 101 class DVD that you can purchase pretty inexpensively. And so she purchased that DVD, she loaded up her babies and drove an hour away to a class, and she popped that DVD in, and they listened to Sarah teach. She paused it when she wanted to talk about something. At the end, she walked through the kit herself, but she let Sarah teach. She was able to take care of her babies, be present in the class. And she said, you know what, that really works for me. That's what I need in this season to make this business work for me. So that's not for everyone. It's great if you can get up there and teach yourself in front of a class, but I love that she took a situation that was not working for her and she worked to figure out how to make it work. And she is growing and doing great things. So I just wanted to encourage you in that. If one-on-ones are your thing, set up some coffee dates. If you're a full-time worker and you have a lunch break, meet with people one-on-one. If you love speaking in big crowds, find a free place to host a huge class at a church or a community center. if you love make and takes, if DIY is your thing. I have a girl in my group now that I asked her to do a little DIY Christmas thing for us because that is not my niche. That is not my lane. So I let somebody else do that. Figure out what works for you. Sometimes that takes some time. Sometimes that takes some experimenting. But figure out what works for you, and don't be afraid to pursue that, even if it looks different from what somebody else's business looks like. So I would love to hear what you guys are struggling with excuses wise. Maybe what are one of these excuses that Sarah talked about that really resonates with you? And then let's brainstorm ways that we can overcome them. What can we do? How can we change our mindset? How can we get creative with our location or our space or our time? What can we do to not let these excuses stop our businesses before they even start? I believe in you guys. I know this is worth it. I can't wait to discuss with you. And we will see you for chapter 6. Okay, keep going, y'all.